the easiest job this afternoon, and that's the way it normally works in our company. Roger spends his time on the difficult things. He spends his time in Silicon Valley with lots of other brilliant venture capitalists and innovators and entrepreneurs. He's very well networked. He understands and can visualize the trends even before they become manifest. And then he puts his hard-earned money behind those bets. He's put almost 1,000 crores into Sify because he believes in the vision they just described to you. So he does that hard work. My job is simply to take that and put it onto about 15 slides, and then hand it over to my colleagues here to execute. So I'll take you through those 15 slides and try to describe to you a little bit about what is our vision and our strategy for how we're going to make that a reality. I'll just reinforce first the model that, or the transformational journey that Sify's been on. Sify 1.0, the consumer company, Sify 2.0, the enterprise company, and Sify 3.0, the ICT and solutions company. So we'll refer to those terms a lot. I just wanted to ground you in that. For us, this transformational journey really isn't an option. It's something that we have to do. Because the road ahead is not always a straight road, and sometimes it has dead ends. And we saw ourselves faced with those kinds of dead ends in the past, and we had to make some hard decisions. Now I'll describe a little bit about our strategy, the decisions we made, and why we made them. So let's talk about our first transformation. That's the transformation from Sify 1.0 to Sify 2.0. Now, why do we even want to make such a change? I mean, we had a fantastic legacy position. We were India's first private ISP. We had the largest chain of retail internet cafes. We also had India's most visited portal, right? Sify.com. So having established that enviable position in India in the consumer space, why would we exit? Well, we saw some trends coming our way. We saw the mobile telephony revolution that was coming. When our internet cafes, were set up, people didn't, the average person on the street didn't have a mobile phone, didn't have, ways to communicate they have today. We saw the private telcos start to roll out their own broadband services, and rolled them out not just in isolation, but on top of the same infrastructure that was going to their mobile towers and so forth. So they had critical mass to roll out broadband to the neighborhood, which we didn't have. And we saw 3G on the horizon. Now, we also saw the emergence of these big global mega portals. Right, so we have to recognize that India internet is still an English language game for the most part. Right? And when you have players like Yahoo and Facebook and Google and so forth coming into India, there's no way any Indian incumbent player is going to be able to compete with that. You can do something on the content side, but in the end, the technology side, there's no way you can compete with players like that. So we saw that trend coming. And finally, we realized that our basic consumer broadband, our consumer internet proposition, was fundamentally a last mile proposition. And there was very, very few affordable last mile opportunities of high quality available to us. There was no ability to unbundle the incumbent wireline services and make that available to us as an internet provider. So we saw all those trends coming, and we realized we had to make a shift. But we weren't going to be successful going down the path that we're on. So what did? We made a decision first to exit from the cable broadband business, right? We were selling internet services over TV cable networks, and that wasn't a sustainable model. We exited that. Second, we took our portal, and we really transformed it into more of a marketing weapon for ourselves. We were able to get to a position where it's basically a cost-neutral capability. It's a good brand image. I think it's still number 7 most visited portal in India. It gives us an outsized brand presence, but without costing the company a lot of money. And we fundamentally started building up the enterprise side of our business. So what were the results of that? If you look at the company about the time that Raju acquired it, we were roughly about 50%, slightly before this chart starts. We're about 50% enterprise, 50% consumer. So we already had a reasonable foot in the enterprise segment. But from that point forward, we deliberately degrew the consumer business and shifted all of our attention and focus to the enterprise business. So by last year, 99% of all of our revenues were coming from the enterprise sector. So this is fundamentally today a 100% enterprise play. Now, what was our focus during Sify 2.0? Two main things. First one was network. But we saw a huge opportunity to provide end-to-end services because most of the telcos were just focusing on circuits, on connectivity. In fact, when I first moved to India, I was surprised at hearing this word connectivity, right? Because the rest of the world, people don't use that. You talk about networks, you talk about services and stuff. But here the game was connectivity. I found out there was more to that name, than met the eye. That really, the telcos are really focused on just providing connection and not much more. So we saw this as a bigger service game. We saw it as an end-to-end play. We also decided that we didn't want to go head-to-head against telcos on rolling CapEx into the ground. Right? And recognizing that we didn't have the critical mass of a mobile phone provider that was serving millions and millions of customers, rolling out your own fiber and so forth across India made no sense. So we decided on a strategy where we complement the telcos rather than compete directly with them. We focus on the areas where they weren't so strong, and we use their services where they were strong. So we built our network on top of telco assets, which we partner with the telcos for, and we provided service layers above them. We provided depth of service that they didn't provide. And in fact, that worked so well that a lot of the same telcos started turning around and buying services from us. So today, some of India's biggest telcos are our biggest wholesale customers. One of the big strategic decisions we made was to focus on wireless. Why? Basic answer is the only way in you can provide a complete solution to a customer. A complete solution meaning if you say you've got 200 sites you want me to cover, I'll solve your business problem. I'm not going to say 120 of those sites are feasible, 80 of them are not feasible. Right? So to be able to provide that total proposition, somebody had to go out there and make the investment to provide a last mile solution to those 80 sites which were not covered. We made that decision. And again, the fundamental reason is we wanted to be an end-to-end provider, or we wanted to provide a complete solution. And we found that to be a very, very strong market niche for us. And when we had the opportunity, Roger talked about the Department of Posts. We had the opportunity to bid on a project that was 28,000 sites. Virtually no one in the country is able to provide a service across so many sites today besides Sify because of this wireless investment that we made. We also decided that we would temper our ambitions in terms of international and partner with international carriers instead of competing with them. Right, so while some of the other telcos in the Indian market decided they wanted to become global carriers and decided to buy up some assets and go directly into that market, we found it to be more productive to partner with international carriers and offer complementary services. So again, today we provide services to a lot of international carriers who want to bring their customers into India. Finally, we decided to make the decision to insource instead of outsource. And this is a fundamental difference between Sify and most other players in the market. Virtually all the big Indian telcos have decided their job is to roll out assets and to get lots of customers. As far as running networks, they're really not interested. Right? That's something that you outsource to somebody else. Sify took the opposite position. We decided instead we're going to insource all the management. Because we saw that was our value. That was what we were bringing, was the management of networks, not just the deployment of capital and the aggregation of customers. And in fact, again, that has worked so well that some of India's biggest telcos come to us to help them manage their networks. So network service was a big focus for us in Sify 2.0. The second big focus was data centers. Now for data centers, we saw that as a way to leverage our ICT experience. We started off as an ISP. We actually had a good domain experience in ICT. And again, because the telcos were more circuit connectivity based, this was a way we could differentiate. We thought the data center added to that level of differentiation. It was also one of the first steps in the outsourcing play. So customers that are considering starting to outsource a lot of their IT capabilities would start with data center hosting as a first step. And we wanted to be there when they're initially thinking about outsourcing not when they had fully developed their plans. Third, we saw data centers as something that would pull through services. Right? Our ambition to provide a total end-to-end solution, and once you get customers into your data centers, the ability to start to stack on other services, disaster recovery, and so forth on top of that. And finally, we saw that this 3.0 was coming. We didn't know at that time how far out it would be, but at the same time, we realized that data center was going to be at the heart of that transformation, of that next generation of services. That's why we put so much effort in 2.0 into the data center business. Now, it's not like we did nothing in this 3.0. 3.0 didn't happen overnight. So along the way, we actually started to deploy a few what I would call 3.0 services. So we launched our Security Operations Center, our Network Operations Center services, and we launched our Remote Infrastructure Managed Services. Some of this as far back as 2004. We also launched our own cloud platform, Cloud Infinite. So we started, planting some seeds, I'd say, towards our vision of Sify 3.0, towards the next generation ICT solutions provider. So that's Sify 2.0. The success of that, I think, can be seen in this chart. We were able to grow revenue over this period of time. Remember, at the same time we were doing this, we were exiting the consumer business. So every year we had negative crores of revenue from our consumer business that we were absorbing within the overall revenue growth. Not only revenue growth, but accelerating revenue growth. So the first couple of years, we were growing at a CAGR of about 6%. Over the last 4 years, we've been growing at a CAGR of about 15%. Revenue growth is one thing, profitability even more important. Over the last 5 years, we've been able to turn around the profitability of this company, moving it from a position of loss or break even to a point of EBITDA of about 15%. The service mix is another important, because revenue growth is one thing, but the quality of revenue is also very important. During Sify 2.0, we really focused on service-led revenues. So 82% of all of our revenues today are coming from service annuity revenue. Not one-time revenue, not installation, not resale of hardware, right, but from annuity revenue from customers who are paying us for services. In most cases, they intend to be operating with us for a very long time. From a geographic perspective, though, we are very India-focused. 95% of all of our business is India or India-related. And I'll explain this chart for just a moment. The red bar here is the India domestic business. The green bar is what I call India International. What do I call India International? It's business that we do with international customers. It's traffic to India. It's traffic from India. But fundamentally, the reason people are buying that from us is because of our India capabilities. Right? So it's an opportunity we have to help our customers outside India or to bring customers into India using our assets and capabilities. But our play there, our advantage, our position is all around India. Only 5% of our business is really services and capabilities we sell to the rest of the world. And that's one of the things that Raju wants to change in Sify 3.0. Raju talked a lot about the third platform. And I'll just put this picture up a moment just to illustrate it. It talks about the first platform, the mainframe area, the second platform, the client-server area, and the third platform. Some people call this SMAC, social mobility. Analytics, yes, thank you. And cloud. So the third platform is something that we see is going to bring a lot of opportunities to service providers like us. The kinds of trends that are going on is very important. I think I'm going to leave this slide to Kamal to explain, because it's important to put examples and real-life case studies around this. But fundamentally, we saw the kind of industry trends align very well with Sify's positioning. And our capability set matched up against those trends, and Kamal will explain how they match, and he'll give you examples of some of these various trends and how Sify was able to address that with our existing services and our new capabilities. We also saw the third platform as a revenue opportunity because of the growth trajectory of third platform services. So again, this is a projection from IDC, but the projection basically is the second platform is not over. It's still a huge market, but the second platform is going to stop growing. The next 5-10 years looks like basically flat revenue for second platform kinds of services. Third platform service, on the other hand, are projected to grow at 18% per year. So there's an opportunity for Sify. Not only does the requirements of the market in the third platform match Sify's capabilities, but also the growth rate, for third platform service is much higher. So this is an ideal opportunity, for us to try to address that market. So what's going to be our strategic focus in Sify 3.0? First of all, I need to stress the fact that Sify 3.0 isn't exit exercise and start over again. It's not the same kind of transition as we did in 1.0 to 2.0. Sify 3.0 is very much about building on the success in 2.0. One of the places we're going to build is on those two core investment areas we talked about in 2.0, the network and the data centers. First point I want to make is that we put a lot of money into building out a fantastic network capability which no one else in India is able to offer today in terms of number of cities coverage. But that network is not full. That network does have more capacity that we can provide. We keep on improving the technology. We can put more customers on per base station. So there's an opportunity for better asset utilization, lower cost, as we kind of build up the utilization on that network. So we've actually got the network to a point now where it pretty much goes everywhere you want to go. Now we've really kind of fattened it up with as much traffic and as many customers as it's capable of carrying. Similarly to the data centers, right? We've built magnificent new data centers, state-of-the-art facilities. We were actually stuck for 2 years where we didn't grow our revenue very much because all of our data centers were full. Roger made a fundamental decision that the new data centers we were going to build weren't going to be the same as the old ones, that we're going to take a big leap forward. So we spent 2 extra years building out the kind of data centers that when any customer from any place in the world walks into those data centers, they're going to look at that and say, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in India. This is the same kind of thing I would see in Silicon Valley. This is the same kind of thing I would see in New York City. So we took it all the way back to basics and built out new data centers that are really state-of-the-art. In addition to utilization, which we can fill these data centers, fill our network, we also could build a lot more services on top of our existing products. Right, so there's a lot of work being done within our network team on expanding our network portfolio to provide more layers of service on top of the network. More managed services, more managed links. At the same time, we're also looking at all of our data center customers and trying to upsell and provide a greater depth of management. Still, in a lot of our data centers today, one of the biggest things we sell is office space because the customer brings in 40 of his people to go manage their hardware. Frankly, we can do that much more cost effectively than most of our customers can do. And we offer that service to our customers, and we're seeing a good uptake for those capabilities. So the first fundamental pillar of Sify 3.0 is finish the work of 2.0 and then build out the rich set of capabilities on top of our 2.0 services. Second area is what I call practice transformation. Remember those seeds I talked about earlier, those little seeds we planted back in 2004 and so forth. They were all good innovations. They all got some traction, right? But they weren't structured around a common set of practices in a way we could modularize those, encapsulate them, provide them in a service-based model, and provide them to a customer as a complete solutions package. Now what Colin and his team are doing is taking all of those existing capabilities and build them into a solid set of professional services practices. Our practices are going to be built around 3 fundamental things. I won't spend a lot of time on it because Colin will explain to you what they are and why we've chosen these 3. They're managed cloud services, technology integration services, and applications management services. And again, I'll let him tell you a little more about those are. So practice transformation is the second pillar of Sify 3.0. The third pillar is what I call vertical skills and partnerships. Because this vast opportunity that's there in Sify 3.0 is way too big for any one player. And really, customers want the best state-of-the-art solution, not just the best you can do. Right? So we need to build partnerships with the best players in the market who are capable of working with us and helping us to deliver an end-to-end capability to customers. At the same time, we're working to acquire key vertical domain skills, which will differentiate our solutions from customers. Because we think the kind of capabilities we want to provide in Sify 3.0 are required that we understand our customers at a much, much deeper level and be able to address their processes, their systems, and not just their technology. The other thing we're going to try to do in Sify 3.0 is take Sify to the world. Robbie will be talking later about the North America market. Robbie's recently joined the organization as our North America CEO because of Roger's burning ambition to take on the very best players in the world in the toughest market in the world. And we think we're in a good position to do that. We believe that we've built a set of utility model services that are modularized and they're built on an India cost model, which we can take to with the right front-end capability, we can take to and be very successful in the US market. The first entry point we're going to focus on is cloud transformation services. We think this is the thin edge of the wedge. This is where customers who believe in the third platform but don't know how to get there start with, how do I actually transform my infrastructure to a cloud model? And we can help them do that. Now, at the same time, where is the scale and the revenue is going to come from? A lot of that's going to come from infrastructure management. So we're very much going to leverage our offshore capability in India to be able to provide the infrastructure management for our clients in North American market. Important part of what Robbie's trying to do, and I'll let him explain more about that, is this is going to be a technology consulting-led engagement model. So it's going to be very high skills, close to the customer, matched with very strong, very modular, very capable utility models that we can attach at large scale or at small scale to those solutions. Now, North America is not the only market that we're going after, but we're going to take on that first. So somewhere around 2016 or 17, we're going to start to make our move into Asia and Europe. We've got some early traction. A lot of that's around our e-learning services today. At the same time, we think that success in North America is actually going to propel us into those markets. So rather than taking this on all at the same time, we want to get good, strong traction in the North America market, and we believe a lot of our customers in North America will actually take us to Asia and to Europe with them. The other side of taking Sify to the world is bringing the world to Sify. And one of our key strategies, I've talked about partnership. We need partners who are going to help us deliver these value-added, verticalized solutions to our customers in the North American market. And we are actively building that capability around around the key partnerships that we're selecting. At the same time, those same partners, they want to come to India. And they see great opportunities in this market. But they don't have the skills and they don't have the infrastructure. And frankly, they're not interested in hiring a lot of people, and they're not interested in building their own data centers and so forth. So we are deliberately trying to create a strategy where all the partnerships we're working on, we're going to try to help those partners and bring them to India. So whether they are cloud service providers or local entrepreneurs or vertical solutions, big data companies, we're going to help those guys build out their services in India. And we want to position ourselves as the first choice for global partners who want somebody that understands life the way they live it in Silicon Valley and can deliver in India. So some of those we may take an equity play. Some of those we might do as a joint venture. We're very open to those kind of opportunities. But we really see this as a two-way push-pull. We're going to expand our business outside India, but the partners that we work with, we're going to help them all be successful in the Indian market. So just a few projections, right? The market today, the business that we're doing today, about 80% of it, comes from either network services or data center services. About that's not bad because about 20%, actually 22% last year, of all of the revenue that we got was from what we call 3.0 services. And we're only about 12, 18 months into the transformation. At the same time, our vision is much broader, right? Our vision is that non-network IT services will become 70% of the entire business. Network will only be 30%. And of that, 50% will be coming from these 3.0 services. That's where we want to get to. From a geographic perspective, we want to take this chart, which I showed you earlier, 5% of our revenue coming from the rest of the world, and we want to grow it to something like this. We're about 40% of our business for the rest of the world, 40% from India domestic, and about 20% from India international. India to the world, world to India. That will be the glue that pulls together the capabilities that we can offer in overseas markets and the capabilities that we can offer in India. Now we've built a roadmap, and this is a little bit of work in progress, but we've got a pretty clear view of what it's going to take to transform the company from 2.0 to 3.0. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to require some investment. It's going to require some things that we do organically and some things that we do inorganically. But we can see, I mean, the chairman's challenged us with his vision of building $1 billion company. We can see that out on the horizon. Right? We can see the path that'll take us there, and we're making progress now in traction against this plan. Again, I said my job is an easy job. Colin, who will follow me, will actually tell you where we are in this journey, right, and how we're going to get there. Thank you.